Picture this. You're 82 years old, standing in your own kitchen, trying to open a jar of pickles. Your hands, which once effortlessly twisted open anything, now struggle with the simplest task. You call out for help, but no one answers. You're alone. This isn't a scene from a movie. This is the reality facing millions of people over 80 right now. And here's the part that nobody talks about. Most of these struggles didn't have to happen this way. Research shows that mortality rates for frail individuals aged 80 and older have increased by 45% from 2010 to 2024. And disability rates remain disturbingly high, with 75% of people aged 85 struggling with basic activities like bathing. But here's what's even more shocking. Studies reveal that by age 85, 3/4 of older adults experience difficulty with bathing, and 1/4 struggle with using the toilet. These aren't just statistics. These are your parents, your grandparents, maybe even your future self. What if I told you that many of these inevitable changes after 80 aren't as inevitable as you think? What if the weakness, the falls, the confusion, the isolation could be reduced, delayed, or even prevented with the right knowledge and actions? Today, we're going to talk about the 7 most significant changes that happen after 80. But more importantly, we're going to reveal exactly how you can stay strong, healthy, and independent well into your golden years. This information could add years to your life and life to your years. So stay with me until the end, because what you're about to learn could change everything. Aging is not a disease. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Aging is not a disease. It's a natural biological process that every single one of us will experience if we're fortunate enough to live that long. But here's what most people don't understand. While aging itself is inevitable, many of the struggles we associate with getting older are not set in stone. Scientific research has identified multiple factors we can control, including exercise, healthy diet, regular medical care, and mental health management. That can help us maintain optimal health and independence as we age. Think about that for a moment. Your genetics might load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. The truth is, something extraordinary happens when we reach 80. By 2050, the population of Americans aged 85 and over will triple. We're living longer than ever before, but are we living better? That's the question that keeps healthcare professionals up at night. Because longevity without quality of life isn't a victory, it's a burden. Here's what happens to our bodies after 80. The biological aging process accelerates. Changes in muscles, joints, and bones affect posture and walking ability, leading to weakness and slowed movement. Your cells don't regenerate as quickly. Your organs don't function with the same efficiency. Your immune system becomes less robust. Loss of muscle mass and bone density, when left untreated, represents a major public health problem and can result in loss of independence. But here's where it gets interesting. Not everyone ages the same way. You've probably noticed this yourself. Some 80-year-olds run marathons, travel the world, and live completely independently. Others struggle to walk to the mailbox. What's the difference? Is it just genetic lottery? Absolutely not. Recent research examined over 5,000 people and found that those with the highest healthy lifestyle scores, based on exercise routines, dietary diversity, and avoiding smoking, had a significantly higher likelihood of reaching 100 years old compared to those with poor lifestyle habits. Even more encouraging, these benefits applied to people who started making changes after age 80. You read that right. It's never too late to start. The challenge is that most people don't know what to expect. They're blindsided by the changes. They think frailty is inevitable, that falls are just part of getting older, that memory loss is unavoidable. This lack of understanding creates a dangerous cycle of decline. Someone experiences a fall, becomes afraid to move, stops exercising, loses more muscle, becomes weaker, and falls again. It's a vicious cycle that devastates families and destroys independence. But knowledge is power. When you understand what's coming, you can prepare. You can take action. You can maintain your strength, your mobility, your mental sharpness, and most importantly, your independence. That's exactly what we're going to explore today. We're going to look at the 7 most significant changes that occur after 80, explain why they happen, and most critically, give you practical science-backed strategies to combat each one. This isn't about denying reality or selling you some miracle cure. This is about empowerment. This is about taking control of your health destiny. This is about ensuring that your 80s, 90s, and beyond are filled with vitality, purpose, and joy instead of struggle, dependence, and regret. So let's dive in and talk about these 7 inevitable changes and how you can stay strong and healthy through them all. Before we continue, I want you to do something important. If you're finding this information valuable and you want to make sure you don't miss the solutions we're about to share, take a moment right now to save this. Share it with someone you love who's over 70 or someone who has aging parents. This information could literally save a life or preserve someone's independence. The research we're sharing comes from the most respected medical institutions in the world, and it's information every family needs to know. Now let's talk about the first major change that happens after 80. 1. Muscle mass and strength decline. The first inevitable change is something called sarcopenia, which is the medical term for age-related muscle loss. Now, before you think this is just about looking less toned, understand that this is one of the most dangerous changes that occurs after 80. Here's what actually happens. After age 80, studies suggest that somewhere between 11% and 50% of people develop sarcopenia, and they may lose as much as 8% of their muscle mass each decade. But it's not just about the numbers on a scale. It's about what that muscle loss means for your life. The decrease in muscle mass is partly caused by loss of muscle tissue, where muscle fibers shrink and are replaced more slowly. Think of your muscles as your body's engine. When that engine starts to fail, everything else follows. This condition is directly related to falls, physical disability, and reduced quality of life. It affects your ability to stand up from a chair, climb stairs, carry groceries, or even maintain your balance. Several factors accelerate muscle loss, including physical inactivity, chronic diseases like kidney disease and diabetes, reduction in hormone levels, and inadequate protein intake. When your muscles weaken, you become tired more easily. You might avoid activities you once enjoyed. You start spending more time sitting or lying down, which only accelerates the muscle loss further. But here's the critical thing you need to understand. Muscle loss is not inevitable. Research has found that moderate to vigorous physical activity is strongly associated with muscle function, regardless of age. This means that even at 85, 90, or 95, you can maintain and even build muscle strength through the right activities. Studies have shown that muscle mass is actually a better predictor of longevity than weight or body mass index in adults older than 55. Your muscles literally determine how long and how well you'll live. The good news? If you start a strength training program and make lifestyle changes, you can regain strength and mobility. It's not too late. Your muscles can still respond to exercise, even in your 80s and beyond. 2. Bone density loss. The second major change is bone density loss, commonly known as osteoporosis. While this condition often develops silently over decades, its effects become dramatically apparent after 80. By age 80, approximately 27% of American women have osteopenia and 70% have osteoporosis at the hip, lumbar spine, or forearm. Think about those numbers for a moment. 7 out of 10 women over 80 have dangerously weakened bones. And while women are affected more severely, men aren't immune to this problem. What happens to your bones as you age? People lose bone mass and density as they age, with bones losing calcium and other minerals, and vertebrae losing mineral content, making each bone thinner. Your spine literally compresses. The discs between vertebrae lose fluid and become thinner, causing the spinal column to become curved and compressed, which contributes to loss of height. But the real danger isn't just about being a few inches shorter. Osteoporosis is often called a silent disease because many people don't realize they have it until a fracture occurs. And here's the terrifying part. A fracture after 80 can be catastrophic. Compression fractures of the vertebrae can cause severe pain and reduce mobility. Hip fractures are particularly devastating. They often trigger a cascade of complications, loss of independence, nursing home placement, and significantly increased mortality risk. Think about the last time you heard about an elderly person breaking their hip. What happened next? Often, they never fully recovered their previous level of function. The relationship between bones and muscles is critical, as bones adapt their morphology and strength to the long-term loads exerted by muscle during physical activities. Your bones and muscles work together as a system. When your muscles weaken, your bones receive less stimulation and become even more brittle. When your bones become fragile, you're more likely to suffer fractures that further limit your mobility and accelerate muscle loss. Multiple risk factors contribute to accelerated bone loss, including poor nutrition, lack of physical activity, and cigarette smoking. And these often manifest in an inability to live independently, typically after an osteoporotic fragility fracture. But there's hope. Research shows that exercise can make bones stronger and help slow the rate of bone loss, and these changes can even be reversed. The key is understanding that bone health requires specific nutrients and specific types of exercise. Women and men over age 70 should get 1,200 milligrams of calcium daily and 800 international units of vitamin D to maintain bone health. But supplements alone aren't enough. Your bones need the stress and stimulation that comes from weight-bearing exercise to stay strong. 3. Vision and hearing deterioration. The third inevitable change after 80 affects two of your most critical senses, vision and hearing. These changes don't just make life inconvenient. They fundamentally alter your ability to interact with the world and can trigger a cascade of other serious health problems. Hearing loss is the third most common health disorder in older adults. And peripheral hearing loss is associated with 30% to 40% faster cognitive decline than in those without hearing loss, plus a 24% higher risk of cognitive impairment. Let that sink in. Your ears aren't just for hearing. They're protecting your brain. As you age, structures inside the ear change and their functions decline, affecting both your ability to pick up sounds and maintain balance. Age-related hearing loss makes it particularly difficult to hear high-frequency sounds. Consonants like S, Z, T, F, and G become hard to distinguish, making conversations frustrating and exhausting. But the vision problems are equally concerning. All eye structures change with aging, and the cornea becomes less sensitive, meaning you might not notice eye injuries. Many people over 80 struggle with contrast sensitivity, which makes it hard to see steps, curbs, or obstacles that could cause falls. Here's what makes this doubly dangerous. Studies have found that older adults with both vision and hearing loss experience more severe cognitive decline than those with hearing loss alone. The co-occurrence of sensory impairments is more common than expected by chance alone, suggesting some common mechanisms might affect these neurological systems. Sensory loss is associated with decreased quality of life, increased physical disability, imbalance, falls, hip fracture, and even increased mortality. When you can't see or hear properly, you withdraw from social situations. You stop going out. You become isolated. And that isolation accelerates every other aspect of decline. The encouraging news? Research has found that hearing aids slowed the rate of cognitive decline by nearly 50% in older adults with hearing loss and specific risk factors for dementia. Simply using the right assistive devices can protect your brain and maintain your quality of life. 4. Cognitive changes in memory. The fourth major change is something that terrifies most people: cognitive decline and memory changes. Survey respondents said that losing their cognitive abilities was their number one fear about aging. And for good reason. From age 20 to 80, individuals encounter consistent decline in their abilities to use current circumstances and information to solve problems and make decisions. But here's what you need to understand. Normal age-related cognitive changes are very different from dementia. Almost 15% of individuals aged 70 and older have dementia, which means 85% don't. Most people experience some slowing of processing speed, occasional difficulty finding words, or taking longer to learn new information. These are normal. They don't mean you're developing Alzheimer's disease. The problem is that other age-related changes can make cognitive decline worse. As auditory acuity diminishes after age 30, processing speed and sensory perception also exhibit ongoing decline. And chronic medical illnesses, hearing or vision loss, and head trauma can collectively interact with aging to accelerate cognitive decline. Research found that loneliness was linked to faster cognitive decline in a study of more than 8,000 adults older than 65. Your brain needs stimulation, social interaction, and challenges to stay sharp. When you isolate yourself, your cognitive function suffers. But there are proven ways to protect your brain. Researchers found that study participants who followed 4 or 5 specific healthy behaviors: not smoking, limiting alcohol, eating a high-quality diet, engaging in regular cognitive activities, and doing at least 150 minutes per week of physical activity, had a 60% lower risk of Alzheimer's than those who followed none or just one of these behaviors. Studies show that sustained engagement in cognitively demanding, novel activities enhanced memory function in adults 60 and older, particularly learning new skills like photo editing software or quilting. Your brain remains plastic and capable of forming new connections throughout your life. You just need to challenge it. 5. Balance and mobility challenges. The fifth inevitable change is perhaps the most immediately dangerous: balance and mobility problems. Falls are a major cause of morbidity and disability among older adults, with 30 to 40% of adults over age 70 falling each year, and rates are particularly high in long-term care facilities. Why do falls become so common after 80? Multiple factors converge. Changes in muscles, joints, and bones affect posture and gait, leading to weakness and slowed movement. Hip and knee joints lose cartilage, the foot arches become less pronounced, and the risk of injury increases because of gait changes, instability, and loss of balance. Balance is controlled in the inner ear, where fluid and small hair cells stimulate the auditory nerve to help the brain maintain balance. As these structures age, your equilibrium suffers. Add in vision problems that make it hard to see obstacles, weakened muscles that can't catch you when you stumble, and brittle bones that break easily when you fall, and you have a recipe for disaster. Among those 80 and older, 33% have difficulty walking, and more than 25% struggle simply getting out of chairs. These aren't just inconveniences. They're markers of frailty that predict hospitalization, nursing home placement, and mortality. But balance can be improved at any age. One of the simplest exercises is practicing standing on one leg, and Tai Chi has been shown in numerous studies to improve balance and reduce the risk of falls. The key is consistent practice and gradually challenging your balance system to adapt and strengthen. 6. Cardiovascular and endurance decline. The sixth major change is the decline in cardiovascular function and overall endurance. Your heart and lungs, which have been working tirelessly for 8 decades, begin to show their age. Declining cardiovascular and pulmonary function reduces stamina and may require surgery or medication. You might notice that activities that once were easy now leave you breathless. Climbing stairs becomes challenging. Even walking longer distances feels exhausting. What's happening inside your body? Your heart muscle may thicken or weaken. Blood vessels lose elasticity and become stiffer. Cardiovascular disease remains a common chronic condition at age 85. Your lungs lose capacity, and the tiny air sacs where oxygen exchange occurs become less efficient. Blood pressure control is crucial, as intensive blood pressure management significantly reduces the risk of mild cognitive impairment, often a precursor to Alzheimer's disease. Your cardiovascular health directly affects your brain health, your kidney function, and your overall vitality. The good news is that cardiovascular function responds remarkably well to exercise, even in advanced age. Regular physical activity helps add years to life and improves physical function while reducing risk of depression, cancer, and diabetes. Your heart is a muscle. And 7. Social isolation and mental health. The seventh and often most overlooked change is the increased risk of social isolation and its devastating effects on mental health. Depression is not a normal consequence of aging, but major depression rates rise again after age 80, with prevalence for adults over 85 being double the rate seen at ages 70 to 74. Why does this happen? Life after 80 brings profound losses. Poor health, death of a partner, caring for a loved one, and other situations that are more likely as people age can all lead to social isolation or loneliness. Friends pass away. Mobility limitations make it harder to get out. Vision and hearing problems make social interactions exhausting. Driving becomes unsafe, reducing independence. Research shows that being socially active benefits older adults, with studies finding that making new social contacts was associated with improved, self-reported physical and psychological well-being. But here's the vicious cycle. Loneliness was associated with greater risk of heart disease in a study of more than 11,000 adults older than 70. Your mental health directly impacts your physical health, and vice versa. Depression is even more common among institutionalized older adults and those with disabilities, and aggressive approaches to diagnosis and treatment are warranted to prevent suicide. This isn't something to ignore or dismiss as just feeling sad. The solution requires intentional action. Staying connected with others may help boost mood and improve overall well-being, and older adults who had regular contact with friends and family were more physically active than those who did not. Social connection literally keeps you moving, thinking, and living longer. 4 ways to stay strong and healthy. Now that you understand the 7 major changes, let's talk about the 4 proven strategies that can help you stay strong, healthy, and independent after 80.1. Embrace regular exercise. Exercise is the closest thing we have to a miracle drug for aging. Staying active helps maintain independence, prevents health problems, improves strength and balance, boosts energy and mood, and enhances brain function. Health experts recommend 2.5 to 5 hours of moderate physical activity per week, or 1 to 2.5 hours of vigorous activity, though even 30 minutes of walking daily can make a significant difference. Focus on 4 types of exercise: strength training to maintain muscle mass, aerobic activity for cardiovascular health, balance exercises to prevent falls, and flexibility work to maintain range of motion. Studies show that spreading activity across at least 3 days a week can improve health, lower chances of injury, and prevent fatigue. 2. Optimize your nutrition. Healthy diet with the right nutrients helps bones and muscles stay strong while preventing health problems. Foods that boost longevity include leafy greens, root vegetables, fruits, whole grains, healthy fats, and lean proteins. Getting enough fiber helps you stay regular, lowers odds of heart disease and type 2 diabetes, and lowers blood cholesterol. As you age, you may feel less thirsty, so paying attention to drinking enough water every day is crucial for hydration and energy. Many older adults don't consume enough protein, which is essential for maintaining muscle mass. 3. Prioritize regular medical care. Having regular health exams and medical screenings may help reduce risk factors for disease and catch concerns early, improving chances for effective treatment. Important screenings include cholesterol, blood pressure, skin cancer checks, and depending on your family history, additional specialized tests. Getting annual checkups, asking about needed vaccinations like COVID, flu, pneumonia, RSV, shingles, and tetanus, and reviewing all medications regularly are essential steps. Many people over 80 take multiple medications, and at least once yearly, you should review all your medications with your doctor to ensure they're working properly and not causing harmful interactions. 4. Maintain social connections. Staying socially connected helps prevent isolation and loneliness, which are associated with higher risks for depression, heart disease, and cognitive decline. Schedule regular phone calls or video chats with family and friends. Join walking groups or other social groups. Pursue new hobbies, or volunteer to stay active and engaged. Maintaining an active social network and being a lifelong learner are the best ways to reduce risk of cognitive decline. Your brain needs social stimulation just as much as your body needs physical exercise. Every conversation, every new experience, every challenge keeps your mind sharp and your spirit alive. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Recent research found that people who adopted healthy lifestyle behaviors even after age 80 had significantly higher likelihood of living to 100 compared to those with unhealthy habits. Read that again. Even if you're already 80, 85, or 90, the choices you make today can add years to your life. In a study tracking over 6,000 people ages 44 to 84 for 7 years, those who made healthy changes like quitting smoking, following a Mediterranean diet, exercising regularly, and maintaining healthy weight decreased their risk of death by 80%. 80%. That's not a small improvement. That's life-changing. The 7 changes we've discussed today are real. They will happen, but they don't have to define your 80s and beyond. You have more control than you think. Every walk you take strengthens your muscles and bones. Every nutritious meal you fuels your body and brain. Every social connection you maintain protects your mental health. Every doctor visit catches problems early. Age is not the enemy. Inactivity is. Isolation is. Neglect is. It's never too late to start living healthy, with even people at 80 still able to make positive changes that prolong life. You are not powerless. You are not doomed to decline. You have agency, and every single day presents an opportunity to choose strength over weakness, connection over isolation, vitality over decline. Your 80s can be a time of wisdom, grace, and continued contribution to the world. They can be years filled with love, laughter, and meaningful experiences. But only if you take action today. Only if you refuse to accept decline as inevitable. Only if you fight for your independence, your health, and your quality of life. If this information has opened your eyes to what's possible, I encourage you to take action today. Start with one thing. Just one. Take a 10-minute walk. Call a friend you haven't spoken to in months. Schedule that doctor's appointment you've been putting off. Make one small change, and tomorrow, make another. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Your mother, your father, your grandparents, or maybe someone your own age who's given up hope. Knowledge is power, but only when it's acted upon. The research is clear, the path is proven, and the choice is yours. Stay strong, stay healthy, and remember, your best years can still be ahead of you.